Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video. On this video, we'll be learning how to make a pinafore dress, and we'll be using a baby measurement for this pinafore dress. So the shoulder is 9, the bust is 20, the waist 20.5, the half length is 9, armhole 9, full length of the dress is 15. So let's get into it. So guys, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button. And I'm having a corset made easy class. If you've not registered for that class, if you know you're a beginner, you don't know how to make corsets with bra cup, you're scared of making a corset, that class is for you, and registration is ongoing. It's 3,000 naira. Send me a message and I'll be ready to reply you. So now I'm just marking out the shoulder measurements. The shoulder of this child is 9 inches divided by 2, that's 4.5. Then I divided 4.5 again by 2. I got 2.25. Now I'm going to mark the shoulder slope. I came down by half an inch. Then I marked the armhole. The armhole is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So those are the lines you can see on your screen right now. So I'm going to dip the neck by 2 inches, like so, 2 inches, and then I'm going to mark it out. So you can use your own measurements. I'm just using a baby measurement just to see how it will look. So the length of this of the half length I'm going to be using is 9 inches plus 1 inch allowance. It will make it 10, right? So I'm marking it out. Then I'm going to mark out my bust measurement. The bust is 20 divided by 4 is 5 plus 1.5 inch allowance. Then the waist is 20.5 divided by 4 is 5.1 plus 1.5 inch allowance. So I'm going to mark the same thing at the half length, right? And then I'll connect my lines like so. So this is just a half scale bodice, but in a baby form. Do you get? It's a half scale bodice, but in a baby form. So I'm going to use my curved ruler to just connect the armhole, right? Then the next thing I'm going to do after connecting this armhole is to mark out the neck. That's the shape of the neck, the type of neck that I need. But it's just going to be a simple round neck because we are making a pinafore top. Do you get? But you can decide to make yours a V-neck. Depends on your preference, right? So on the shoulder slope, I'm going to tighten it by half an inch. I always tighten my shoulder slope because I always say to eliminate that pointy part on the shoulder, right? So now I'm going to connect my neck. I'm just using a round neck for this pinafore, right? So now I'm going to cut out my measurement. So this is the front bodice of this half cut that we're going to be using, right? So just cut out your measurement. So you do the same for your own bodies that you are working with. So when we cut it out, remember, if you look at the picture of this pinafore dress, you see that it doesn't have an armhole. I just intentionally drafted out everything, but if you look at the picture, it doesn't have an armhole. So you have to draw down where your shoulder slope stopped. You just draw it down like so, and then cut out that armhole area. Do you understand? The dress, the pinafore, if you look at it, it doesn't have that armhole curve. It doesn't have it, right? So you just draw it down, draw the lines down from your shoulder down, and just cut it out to give it that shape of the upper part of the pinafore. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If you look at the screen, you see what I'm saying. So when you cut it out, yes, you've gotten the upper part of your pinafore gown, right? The half length. So this is the front. Now you're going to use this front pattern to cut out your back pattern. Now the difference between the front pattern and the back pattern is the neck depth and the zipper allowance, right? So we'll be using a zipper allowance for this one. So I dipped the neck by 1 inch, right? I dipped the back neck by 1 inch. Then I use 1 inch for the zipper allowance. When I'm done marking it, I just traced it out. Can you see? I just traced the other parts on the front part. So when you want to mark when you want to cut your back bodies, right? Just place your front bodies on top of your pattern paper and then you just trace it out, right? Label your zipper allowance area. So that's just what we're doing here. So I'm not just going to cut it out. Now please, when cutting out on your main fabric, please remember to add your sewing allowance. Please remember to add your sewing allowance, right? Because we have already cut out our allowance from this dress. Remember, we added 1.5 inch earlier, right? We already cut it out. So we're going to add our sewing allowance when we're cutting the pattern on our main fabric. Hope we understand. So now I'm going to cut out the excess of the half length, because the half length we're using is 9 inches plus 1 inch allowance is 10, right? So this is the top part of our bodies. Remember to notch your zipper allowance area so that you won't be confused. So this is the front bodies and this is the back bodies for our pinafore gown. Now we're going to use it to cut out our material. Hope you understand this upper part, right? So we're going to use this our pattern to cut out our material. When we're done, this is how it's going to look, right? This is how the upper part is going to look plus the zipper allowance area. So now I'm done cutting out my back pattern. I cut it off camera, right? I'm done cutting out my front and then my back. The next thing I'm going to do now is to join them. Now to join them, it depends on your preference. For this video, I turned the neck with a bias and then I folded the sides in. But if you want to use lining, right, you cut the same size of lining for your front and your back, and then you turn up the neck and turn up the sides. Hope you understand. So now I'm done turning it, and then this is how it looks. I've turned the neck with a bias and folded the sides, and then I've joined the shoulders, right? Can you see? So when you're done with the upper part, this is how it's going to look like. So now we're going to work on the lower part. The first thing we're going to do, we're working with the waist. The waist is 20.5, right? So we get a material and fold it like so, as if we're making a band, right? Now, it depends on your preference, the size of the band you want. It depends on your preference, the size. But the length of the band is going to be your waist measurement plus 2 inches, right? So the waist I'm working with is 20.5. So I added 2 inches to make it 22.5, right? So I'm going to fold it. And then come back and show you how I'm going to attach it to it, right? Hope you understand. So you get your strip material. The size depends on you. But if you're making an adult dress, I'll advise you use 2 inches, right? That's, you cut out a length 4 inches so that when you fold it, it's going to be 2 inches. Or you cut out length 5 inches. When you fold it, it will be 2.5. You use ½ inch to sew it. Hope you understand. So, but the band, because this pinafore dress is for a small baby, a baby measurement, right? The band, I don't want it to be up to 2 inches. So I've gotten the length of the band and then I notched the middle. Now on the half length, I'm going to notch the middle of the half length. Why am I notching it? I'm notching it so that it will help me, give me direction on how and where to place my strip, my band. Hope you understand. So let me go and sew it and bring it back so that you see. Now I've sewed my band. Can you see? I've sewed it down, right? I'm cutting out the excess. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to place it. But if you're making a cloth for the cloth for a client, I advise you weave the edges, right? Always weave your material so that it will look neat. Do you get? So now I've notched the middle of the band. And now if you watch, you see the part I'm sewing on the half length is the part that is closed, not the rough edges. You ask me why? Because that part is going to be showing, it's going to be on the top part. So I want the top part to be neat, while the bottom part will be rough, because I'm going to weave it at the end of the day. So now I will just pin my band on the half length like so. Remember, we cut it 22.5 because we added allowance. So that allowance is what is going to encroach into our zipper allowance area. Hope you get now. So you now join it like so. Can you see? You join it round. So when you're done joining it round, right, this is how it's going to look. Can you see? So I've joined the band. Can you see? This is how it's going to look, right? Remember, after joining your band, measure it again to make sure that it's your actual measurement. Please make sure you measure it again so that you'll be very sure and correct. So now to make the bottom part, I'm going to cut a peplum, a full peplum. There's already a video on my YouTube channel on how to cut a peplum, right? So now the waist measurement is 20.5, right? We're going to divide it by 6.28 and add 1.5 inch allowance. So after doing that, what we are getting is 4.8, right? So our radius is 4.8. You fold your material into 4, like so, and then on the edge, you mark out your 4.8 round, because we are cutting a full circle. That's why we're dividing it by 6.28. So now we're going to determine the length of our peplum, right? So the length I'm using is 6.5. But the way to determine your length, you do the length minus your half length, right? Since the half length is 9 and the full length is 15, you're going to do 15 minus 9. That's 6. I'm cutting it 6.5. So I'm going to fold it in by half an inch. Hope you now understand how I got the length of the peplum. So I'm going to cut out the radius and then notch the edges. Notch the center front, notch the edges of your peplum, and then you open it up. So you open up one side. You ask me why. You're opening up that side because of your zipper allowance area, right? So now remember, we notched the middle part of our band, right? So we're going to join them together. The middle part of the peplum and the middle part of your band, you pin them together just as you attach peplum to a dress. So you pin them together. You pin the sides to the sides of your band, pin the edges to the zipper allowance area. When you're done pinning it, then you sew it straight down, right? So I'm just pinning it for us to see how it's supposed to be. Always remember to mark your fabric, especially when the color is contrasting like this. Always remember to mark your fabric, the front and the back, right? So when I'm done, this is how it will look. This is for a baby. You see how it came out? You now add your zipper allowance at the back. You see how it's looking? Please, I intentionally used different materials, right? I intentionally did that. So this is the complete dress, and if this tutorial is useful to you, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, guys.